You know, as a little kid in the 1970s and 80s, there was nothing better than going fast. And there was the added bonus if you were going fast on something that you built with your bare hands. I'm talking about Go Karts. This week on Sackville Sunday Stories. Okay, last week I talked a little bit about handmade ninja weapons when we were kids, but there was another weapon that we made, not mentioned because it's not ninja related, and that was a squirrely gun. You see, I have to explain this before I get into the go-kart story, but a squirrely gun was an instrument that we built out of a piece of 2x4, and then we would have a nail tacked in on the end of the 2x4, and we would stretch an elastic over the top, and we'd have a clothespin on the other end. We'd put our weapon in there, a marble or a rock or the head of a Star Wars action figure, and pinch the clothespin closed. When we wanted to release it, open the clothespin, and the projectile would fire. That's the basis for this story. This is Chekhov's squirrely gun, if you will. We call them squirrely guns, swirly guns, elastic guns, but all the kids made them. So, on to the go-karts. Early 1980s, my brother and I woke up, went outside as usual to play, but things were just a little bit different. That morning, a number of kids had built and were racing their own go-karts right down Prince Street, right down the hill. My brother and I were amazed. We're like, what? Look what they did. It was all like discarded lumber. The wheels were made from shopping cart wheels or roller skate wheels, and they had built these little devices. They would start at the top of the hill, somebody would push them a certain distance to get them some speed, and then they would take off. Well, my brother and I immediately wanted to build one. And I said, not only are we going to build one, Ryan, we're going to build the fastest one out there. I did have a slight advantage. Basically, when you're kids that age, I had a part-time job. I was a paperboy for the Mail Star. Route RM115, and I would deliver that Mail Star. I'd make myself anywhere from $18 to $20 a week delivering the Mail Star. So I banked that for about 2 years. So when the time came to build a go-kart, I wasn't kidding when I said we were going to build the fastest. Went down to Penzance, got some lumber, talked to the sales guy. Oh, what are you doing? Building a go-kart? Excellent. What kind of go-kart? Described it to him. He said, oh, you want more of a soapbox derby. I was like, yeah, okay. I said I needed to go fast. He was like, no problem. You know, people would help kids in those days. You know, I'm going to drive a homemade go-kart down the street, and I wanted to go as fast as possible, and this guy knew where I was coming from. So he was like, yeah, you want these wheels? So I bought these big lawnmower wheels, got these threaded axles, washers, bolts, lubricants, everything that I would need to have the fastest go-kart. Ryan and I constructed it, and it was nice. See, just a little bit of money put us over the edge. My $18 to $20 a week that I was paid for full week's labor, you know, really, really helped get us going. And we were excited. Painted it up, it looked amazing, and we took it out for our first run. Ryan and I got out there, all the other kids, whew, and man, did that thing go. There was going to be a big race that Saturday. Ryan and I were like, we're walking away with this. We were excited, we were pumped, we were kind of a little cocky because we had built this really fast go-kart. And then Mom comes over and she's like, hey boys, I got to go out to the wallpaper store or wherever moms went in the early 80s. We had to go somewhere. We were like, can we go to Burger King then? Mom's like, okay. So we were like, haha guys, see you on Saturday. We're going to go have some Burger King, and then we're going to beat you in the go-kart race. Really excited, and yeah, a little cocky, but we were kids. So we leave, and of course we're like, well, let's just put the go-kart in the backyard, not locked up or protected in any way, shape, or form. Nothing could happen. I mean, we only gloated that we were going to win in front of these kids. And we went to the Burger King. While we were gone, they tore that go-kart all to pieces. All to pieces. We returned, we're like, oh man, wow, what good chicken sandwiches are so good there. Boom, go-kart, smashed to bits. They were nice enough that they didn't steal anything. To be honest, I'll give them that. They never stole any of our, well, we'd probably know, like if we had to race them and it was our wheels and axles and all the stuff that I had spent my money on. So, there we were. The whole thing is destroyed. Ryan and I are just looking at the debris of our destroyed go-kart. My brother, I remember him saying, what are we going to do now? I said to him, we're going to make a tank. So we started construction on a new project. This was not for speed. We started building this new go-kart with nothing but hate and revenge in our hearts. So we put this whole thing together. Ryan says to me, how are we going to build it? So we went out behind the dad's shed, grabbed a whole bunch of stuff. We started with a pallet, a big, heavy pallet. And on top of the pallet, we nailed a doghouse. We had a couple little dachshunds in those days, so it was a relatively small doghouse, but we nailed that onto it as well. We put a little board in the front and a seat, so I would sit on the go-kart. The doghouse would be right behind me. Had my little ropes here to steer, and we were ready to go. The day of the race came. Ryan and I were there. Everybody was there ready to have someone push them to get them going. I had Mike Legier. So I'm sitting on the go-kart. Mike Legier's ready to push. The other go-karts are lined up. Oh, and by the way, we would just go down the street. Like there was no blocking of traffic. If a car was coming up the hill, you just kind of went to the side and then back out in the middle of the road. We didn't have any sort of, safety or protocol to speak of. So, Mike Legier's pushing. I'm on the cart. There's a cart to my right and there's a cart to my left. It's game day, and I'm still mad that they smashed up my super fast, awesome cart. Go! Legier was the biggest kid around, so we got off to an amazing start despite the fact that I had a big heavy cart with a secret. And we start going. We're cooking down Prince Street. That's when I get neck and neck, all three cars going abreast down the road. I scream out, now! That was the cue from my brother, who was hiding inside the doghouse. Boom! He popped out the top. Oh, the whole thing was a ruse. We had no interest in trying to win this race. This was a mission for revenge. Revenge for the death of our awesome go-kart. Ryan popped out the top, as we had planned, and there he was, loaded to the hilt with squirrely guns that he had in the back. Raises them up. One of the Carter kids was driving. Hey, what's going on? Boom! Ryan takes a shot and misses. Grabs down, reaches, boom! Hits him in the neck. He starts swerving all over, hits the curb. We took one out. The other kid's coming. I just rub right up against his cart. Ryan pulls out another squirrely gun, reloaded. Boom! Starts firing at him. He's like, hey, you can't do that. You're disqualified. We're like, we know we're disqualified. This was never about winning at this point. You guys trashed an awesome go-kart, and now you're going to pay. So we ran both cars off the road. Ryan and I giggling and laughing as we went all the way down the road towards Sackville Centennial, and we cheered. No, we didn't win the race. Yes, we cheated, but our hearts were broken because those sons of guns came over and destroyed our awesome go-kart. So that's it. Did you build yourself a soapbox derby type go-kart? Do you remember Squirrely Guns? Punch in the comments below if you do. This has been Chad with Sackville Sunday Stories, and I'll see you next week.